अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवाददेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank God today is not India-Pakistan cricket match. Good news is tomorrow. We'll worry about tomorrow. So good. Today morning I got to know when I read the headlines, there's a lot of noise about India-Pakistan match. So I quickly checked the schedule. So good it wasn't today. We have some, young audience also. Otherwise it would have been difficult. So we have been discussing on a series of talk in a subject matter titled as mind management. So far we have seen, and I'm pretty sure all of you are also aware, mind is a very, very powerful tool. Whatever we do is registered immediately in our mind, and that turns into an experience. And that powerful the mind is. It can store unlimited amount of information. Every moment. We last time spoke about knowledge acquiring senses. Today we might speak a little bit about working senses, or else we'll speak next week about it. How we engage our senses. So every moment a perception or an experience is generated in our mind. Mind is nothing but a cluster of thoughts, feeling and willing. However, unfortunately, the mind for many of us is out of our control, is not in our control like that. So this mind management course is meant or aimed at helping us, giving us the knowledge and wisdom to understand what is this whole mind all about, and also to equip us with the skills and the tool set so that we can learn to control the mind. So if you look at in perspective of what we have discussed so far, one of the initial questions we had raised in the very first session is, who suffers or who enjoys? Who is experiencing all these changes? And through the series of discussion, through the discussion based on science and through the discussion based on what our ancient Vedic literature, Bhagavad Gita, talks about, we understood through philosophy of life, which is given in Bhagavad Gita, through logic and analysis, it is mind which undergoes all the experiences of happiness and distress. And we have a potential to change it. We have a potential to organize or train our mind in a certain manner that it gives a response the way we want to give it. I had given you an example, analogy of smartphone, and had compared that with ourselves. And we had spoken about a concept of a virus. If a smartphone is infected with a virus, then you don't get a response through the smartphone that you want. That's what virus does. It alters the user's experience. Similarly, every living entity in this world, whoever it may be, everyone wants to love and receive love. Everyone wants to be kind and compassionate, because we all at the fundamental level understands, if we act like that, we'll be happy and will give happiness to others. We all know being angry, being greedy and being envious doesn't help anyone, neither to the self nor to others. However, at the end of the day, against our will, the response is not always like that. We all agree with that? And that's the whole idea of the subject matter, that mind undergoes this suffering and this sense of pleasure and so forth, and we have the potential to change your response. However way you respond today, in the nicer way or in an ugly way, we all have that potential once we understand the science of mind and also the skill set, how to change it, we can change and alter our responses. So to begin today's discussion, I'll narrate a story, a very interesting story. It's a story of a sage. Long, long ago, one young man, inspired by the philosophy of life, decided to renounce everything, and he decided to take to the process of meditation wholeheartedly. He gave up everything. He went to the forest. He found a genuine spiritual teacher. He took his shelter and took his guidance, and he decided not to have anything, any relationship with the worldly things that we have. And he had only one possession with him, and that was his loincloth. I hope all of you understand loincloth. And he started living under his teacher. The teacher trained him for 6 months. And he said, now I'll be traveling to another place. And after 6 months, or around 7-8 months, I will come back to this place again. So please follow the teachings I have given to you. Follow that sincerely, and you would become a great transcendentalist. Fine enough. So this young monk started to practice his spiritual life, because he only had one possession, that was his loincloth. So whenever he'll get up in the morning, he was staying right next to the Ganges. In the morning, he'll go and take bath in the Ganges. But because he only had one loincloth, he had to wear the wet loincloth. And he was living his life like that. But it was a little bit uncomfortable, with a wet cloth on your body, and you try to do meditation, is not going to be easy. So he had a good friend. And his good friend gave him a suggestion. My dear young sage or a monk, why don't you get another loincloth? It's a simple thing. Now, he doesn't have to go to some showroom to buy a branded loincloth, because branded loincloth does not exist. It doesn't exist in the market only. You find any piece of cloth and you make your loincloth. That's it. So the young monk thought, why not? It's not a big deal. Let me just make one loincloth for myself. He made it. So now he got 2 loincloths. So next day onwards, now after taking bath, he could wear a dry loincloth and sit comfortably, do his meditation. Things became okay, and it went on for a short while. However, after a few days, when I was sitting his meditation, trying to meditate and do all this thing, he heard a sound, a rat chewing something. If you have a rat and he's eating something, and imagine he's sitting in a pin drop silence in the forest by himself trying to meditate, and he gets distracted. Not only gets distracted, when he looks towards a place from where the sound is coming, now he gets agitated. Why? Because the rat was eating away his only possession, that was a loincloth. He was very much disturbed about it. And now he cannot meditate. So he went and approached his friend again. Arey, what solution you gave me? It has led me to a bigger problem now. Now the rat has come and is eating away my loincloth. What should I do? The friend said, oh, come on, what a simple problem. Why you are so worried? If you are troubled by the rat, no problem, get a cat. The cat would chase away the rat, and you can be peaceful and continue your meditation. The monk said, oh, you're pretty intelligent. I've got an intelligent friend. That's a very good idea. He brought a cat, and the cat chased away the rat. And the young monk can now do meditation peacefully. However, in this world, nothing is permanent. His happiness of doing meditation didn't last it for long. Now, the rat wasn't there, but the cat was making too much noise. And he got disturbed now. How do I take care of this sound? So again, he went to his intelligent friend and he asked the friend, what do I do? You gave me one solution, but it leads to another problem. The cat is making too much noise now. The friend said, oh, you're so innocent. Don't you understand? The cat is hungry. She needs milk. Get her some milk. The monk said, I'm out in the forest. There's no mother dairy or any, Chitale or whatever local brand of milk. Where would I get a milk? So his friend said, very simple. Get the source of milk, which means get a cow. If you have your own cow, you get your own milk. The cat is happy and the rat is away. The monk said, oh, my friend is really intelligent. I should get a cow. He got a cow. The cat got her milk. And the rat, out of fear of cat, was away. So his kopin, the original problem was saving the kopin. His coping was okay now, doing things okay. But again, as I said, nothing is permanent. Earlier, cat was making sound, a noise. Now the cow started making a noise. And the monk got really agitated. What's going on? He again went to his friend. My dear friend, what is this? Now the cow is making a noise. What she wants? He said, you're so innocent. See, you need to feed the cow. And you need somebody to milk the cow. The monk said, come on. I came all the way here, leaving everything behind, to do meditation. Do you expect me to do this? He said, of course not. I'm not asking you to do it. Then the monk asked a friend, who is supposed to do it? Get a wife. If you have a wife, the wife will take care and you sit and do meditation whole day. He said, pretty good idea. He got a wife. And now the wife is looking after the cow, milking the cow, feeding the cow, the milk is given to the cat is happy, and the rat is away. And the coping is intact. But nothing is permanent, eternal again. After some day, just for a few days, he was peaceful. Now the wife gets really upset. You rascal, what do you think of me? You have kept me at the bank of Ganges. Am I supposed to live like this? I want a house. I want a furniture. I want certain basic comforts of my life. What my parents going to speak about my, their son-in-law? That he's living at the bank of Ganges, have just 2 pieces of cloth. And look at my condition. Go get a job. And the poor monk, what he left behind, ended up getting a job. Got a job, got a house, where he sat a couple of months ago and met his teacher, which was a forest area. Now there stood a nice, well-built house. And now the teacher came back. And teacher comes back to this place. It looks like, Arey, what happened to this place? I left my student, a monk here. And when he enters the house, there is a garden, and where there is a gardener doing some gardening there. And he asks that person, who is the owner of this place? And he said, owner is so-and-so. So the teacher said, can you call that owner? And the owner came out. As soon as the owner came out, the teacher could not recognize, but the owner could recognize because he was a student of the teacher. He fell at the feet of the teacher, said, teacher, please forgive me, I'm your student. And the teacher said, what happened? He said, my dear sir, I was so happy having a single loincloth. But somehow I had a friend who suggested me to get another loincloth. With just getting another loincloth, I ended up getting married. I ended up getting a house. I ended up leaving my spiritual practice. I'm here now, not doing anything. Very interesting story. Who is the friend? And this friend, an intelligent friend, who was available for this monk, who with all his best of intentions had gone to the forest, got cheated out with a basic simple thing. And this friend is there for each one of us always. Who that friend in the story? Please raise your hand. Gia. Yes, Gia. Oh, big round of applause. She got the first go. Right, Gia is right. The mind. Look about it, isn't it? We are always in a consultation with our mind. And look what Krishna has to speak about this mind. Mind can be a foe. Foe refers to an enemy. A mind can be our friend. Udharad atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadaya atmaiva hi atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. This is 6th chapter, 5th verse of Bhagavad Gita. Please read out translation, somebody loudly.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
So mind is our best of the friend, and mind can also act best of the or worst of the enemy. And that's the idea here. And as we have studied Bhagavad Gita a few other verses last time, Krishna says, if your mind is uncontrolled, which means you're not controlling the activities of the mind, then mind is the worst of your enemy, because you get dictated by your whims of the mind. Whatever mind desires, you're forced to act onto it. However, when you learn to control your mind, then you can navigate your mind in a particular direction wherever you want to take it. And that's how the mind becomes the best of the friends. Okay, so who is the friend? The mind is a friend. And if you think about the story and introspect in your life, you would recognize, yes, how sometimes we also get cheated out by the sound of our mind or the voice of our mind. It all began with a small thing and it ended up such a big problem for him. What is the moral of the story? What lesson could you draw for yourself? Any lesson anyone can think about it? I wrote some. Yes.
So the moral is we should feed mind with positive, good thoughts so that it will.
Fine, but in this story, the mind was giving you a positive, he was not giving you any negative solution. His idea of you to suggest you get married is not a wrong idea, right? He's telling you get a cat to chase away rat. There's nothing negative in it.
But it chased us away from the goal.
Okay, good. It distracted us from the goal. Yes, the mind distracted us from the goal. All right, good. Anything else? Yes, please. Our future depends on our current decision. Agreed. Anything else?
Even though he left the place, he was in the forest, still he was not able to control his mind. He was following the spiritual practices, but still.
Yeah, quite close. One of the things that I thought about it, the more we hear to the mind, an uncontrolled mind, when it's not in our control, the more we hear to it, the more we'll get distracted from achieving the purpose of life. For anything, even the purpose of your professional life and whatnot. Imagine you're sitting in an office, you have a lot of work to do, and your mind is chit-chatting with you non-stop. Oh, घर पे लॉन्ड्री रह गया है, इतने सारे कपड़े धोने हैं, शाम का कुकिंग कौन करेगा, मेड नहीं आई तो बर्तन भी मुझे जाके धोने पड़ेंगे. You're sitting on a computer, you're typing a code, but you're not able to focus, yes or no? And if you get caught up with that conversation of the mind, you're totally distracted at that point of time. Agreed upon it? And I guess in today's time, we all would agree. If not, we all equally not in that sense, but we all do suffer from the distraction of mind to a little degree, to a lot degree. Somehow or other, we always remain distracted. For us to sit and focus on something is very difficult because mind drives us to different directions. And that's what happened. So what we need to do what on the contrary we need to do, that this story teaches us, rather than listening to the mind, ultimately we have to follow somebody, right? We have to have a friend in our life who can guide us. Like the monk needed a friend. Similarly, if each one of us, if we are fortunate enough, if we can find a genuine spiritualist or a saintly person for that reason, whose aim is just to help you accomplish the aim of your life, I guess there is nothing other greater benediction or blessing that we can expect in our life. If not for that, at least we all have Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is said to be the life's manual. If you're not able to find a person, at least the words of Krishna is there, words of wisdom, that can always help us to some situation or other. If I have to speak about myself, I could say the biggest blessing for me in that sense had been that I came across Srila Prabhupada's literatures. I unfortunately couldn't get a chance to meet Srila Prabhupada because he left way before, even before I was born. But because Prabhupada, for such a saintly person, his personal association and his speech, the words of wisdom, are non-different. Even if you are in person with him, are you in close contact, you're still going to get inspired by his Vani, what he speaks, the words of wisdom. And even if he is not physically present, but his words of wisdom are recorded, your life continues to get inspired. Srila Prabhupada left this world in 1977. This is more than 50 years and over. And the lives of people all around the world are still being affected by the words of wisdom that Srila Prabhupada left. Now, was it his own words of wisdom? A reporter asked, what is your contribution to the society? Srila Prabhupada said, my only contribution is that I have repeated and presented the instructions of Lord Shri Krishna as it is. It's a big thing. So those words of wisdom are actually not of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is just presenting as a transparent medium the words of wisdom given by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield. And that's the reason when a person hears that, you and I, we may not be in touch with Lord Shri Krishna because his words are presented as it is what was meant for Arjuna. The lives of people after 5,000 years ago also is getting transformed with that. So this is something for each one of us to think about as a lesson from the story. So to move forward, mind can be a foe or a friend. We have also discussed about the concept of every mind is affected by 6 viruses. Do we recognize 6 viruses? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. This is there for everyone, regardless of whoever that person is. Only thing that matters is, for some of these viruses or the problems could be really serious. For some of the things just don't exist. They have elevated themselves through spiritual practice, but they don't struggle with those problems. So there's kama, lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, and envy. These 6 kinds of viruses leads to a lot of different states of mind. But 3 primary states of mind that are formed because of the presence of the 6 viruses, you can call as 3 states of mind, or you can call it as 3 diseases of mind. And those are compare, complain, and criticize. Why I call it as the diseases, which are actually states of mind? Because somebody is tuned to or is accustomed to thinking in a manner of comparing always with others, or complaining about life, or criticizing others. That person voluntarily is reducing his life's experiences, or he voluntarily spoiling the life that he has got. And to give you an example, historically, for these 3 diseases of the states of mind, there are 3 examples that we can see historically. One example, the first one for comparison, is of Suprakha, the sister of Ravan. She was wandering through the forest. Lord Ram was during that time serving Vanvas period. He was there in the forest along with Lakshman and Sita, and Suprakha happened to see Lord Ram. She got really attracted to the beauty of Lord Ram, and she decided to enjoy with Lord Ram. In other words, she became lusty. And she approached Lord Ram and she said, "Oh, what a handsome man you are. What are you doing in the forest?" And she impersonated herself as a beautiful woman. And when she approached Ram, she said, "We should both enjoy." Ram said, "Well, I'm so sorry. I have taken a vow for a single patni vrata or pati vrata. I'm just going to stay married to one woman. I cannot accept any other woman in my life." Ram said, "Well, because for a Kshatriya, the duty was if any woman approaches, he cannot say no. He has to give a shelter. That was a dharma then." So Ram said, "Well, I am married and my wife is here and I have taken a vow. But I have a younger brother, Lakshman. Although he is married, he has not taken this vow, and plus his wife is not here. Why don't you approach him?" And then Suprakha turned her direction towards Lakshman. And when she looked at him, she said, "Well, he's also not less smarter than Ram. Doesn't matter. Either Ram or Lakshman to me." She was of that mindset. So she approached Lakshman. Lakshman said, "Oh, hell no with it. I have no intention. I have come to serve Ram and Sita. Get out from here. Nothing going to happen." And when Suprakha got rejected, she was not used to receive rejections. She was the sister of Ravan like that. She got really upset, and then she looked at Sita. And she realized why this Ram and Lakshman are refusing me. Because Sita is very, very beautiful, far much more beautiful than I. Even I have used all my mystic power to impersonate as a beautiful lady. Still my beauty does not stand in front of Mother Sita. She's so beautiful. If I kill her, because she's more beautiful than I, if I kill her, then they would be willing to follow or agree to my proposal." And as all of you know, that she charged Mother Sita to kill, and Lord Ram indicated to Lakshman, "Take care of Suprakha," and Lakshman chopped off the nose of Suprakha. The story doesn't end here. It is just the beginning of story of Ramayana. Because of this incident only, everything else happened. So as I said, if we are caught up into these states of mind, I said very lightly earlier that it reduces your life's experience. Rather, it can destroy your life. In the case of Suprakha, it did not only destroy her life, it destroyed the life of her own whole complete dynasty. The whole lineage of Ravana was wiped off, except for Vibhishan. Complain. A classic example of Duryodhan. Had everything with him. Was the son of the king. But somehow he could just never be satisfied. He always had some or other issues with Pandavas, which was primarily arising because of insecurity. And for something or other, he would always approach Dhritarashtra, complaining about Pandavas or something or other. Just like when they had, Yudhishthira had come back, and then Dhritarashtra gave him a Khandavprastha, which was a desert land. And Yudhishthira and the rest of the Pandavas built a far much more beautiful city and a palace than Hastinapur. Then when Duryodhana went there at the inauguration ceremony of the palace, when he came back, he went directly to the palace of Dhritarashtra and again started complaining. My dear old father, I told you, don't even give them a desert. You don't know what they are. They turned a desert into a palace. So that was his condition. Look what he did with himself. Because he could not see any good, any potential in others, because he always had the side of complaining about life and complaining about others. He not only destroyed his life, because of one Duryodhan, his other 99 brothers died. And they were not killed just like shot of a bullet. Bhima ripped open everyone's chest and poured out blood from their body. Like that. And thousands, not thousands, millions of people, it is said around 60 crore people in the 18 days of battle at Mahabharat or at Kurukshetra, 60 crore people died in less than 18 days. This was not even the number of the Second World War. Such a huge battle because of what? One Duryodhan. He could not come and cooperate along with Pandavas. What did Krishna at the end ask? Give them 5 villages. But no, Duryodhan said, I would not even give them a land where the tip of a needle. Even that much land I would not give. And the third state of mind, or the disease of the mind, is criticism. Criticism is opposite of gratefulness. Criticism is a condition of an ungrateful heart. Criticism is nothing but an outcome of an envious heart, where a person cannot appreciate somebody better than him or her in anything. And when he or she finds somebody else better than him or her, he begins to criticize that person to bring that person down to their level. That is what the idea of criticism. And the classic example who personified this state of mind was Shishupal. From the very day he was born till the time he was killed in Rajasuya sacrifice, he kept on blaspheming Krishna. And Krishna, because Shishupal was related to Krishna in relation, so Krishna had given a commitment to his mother that I promised that I would not kill your son until he hit a century. Which means until he commits in a day, unless he speaks 100 offenses against me, I will not. But on Rajasuya sacrifice, when Bhishma Pitama, on the direction of Yudhishthira Maharaj, selected Lord Shri Krishna as the head of the assembly, Shishupal could not tolerate that. He said, how can you make a Gwala head of the assembly? He's a son of a Gwal. He is a cowherd man. He's not even a king. He had so many affairs and he started speaking so many ill things. Making him a head of the assembly is an insult for a king like me. I cannot tolerate. And he went on speaking like that 100 times. And Krishna said, okay, all right, it's time for you to get out and go back to pavilion. He chopped off his head and he went back. So again, in the case of Shishupal, if you see, a state of mind drove him to craziness, on whom he was finding a fault. A person who Arjuna says, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vivam. A person who is faultless, who is beyond everything. A person whose every action is meant for the benefit of humanity and everyone. In that person, you can imagine what an expertise Shishupal must have had to be able to find faults. It needs certain amount of talent, even to be able to find a fault in a person doesn't exist. So like this, if our mind is uncontrolled and is being troubled by the 6 viruses, it leads to these 3 states. And I'm not asking you to raise your hands, but I'm pretty sure once in a while in your life, all of us would have experienced these 3 different states once in a while. We all agree upon it? either being complaining, criticizing, and comparing. So it's very important for us to understand how to rise above it. And that is what the whole purpose of this mind management course, to help us understand how mind functions and how we can deal with these viruses of the mind and rise above it so that we can live a quality life. A life that is meant for us. A life for which it is given to you. The birth that is given to you is to live not like an ordinary complaining and whining child. We should be happy. We should be so happy that when others see us become happy. Wouldn't it be great? That you're so happy and you're so blissed out that when others sees you, oh yeah, so wonderful, they become happy. I guess that would be a far greater contribution than any amount of monetary, charity, or whatever you want to do. If you can bring smile on the face of other. For to do so, we need to be happy. Not like, when you fly in a plane, the air hostess comes, oh, good morning, sir. And then we're leaving the flight. Thank you for flying with us, sir. And a big smile they offer. They are paid for that smile, by the way. If you ever took that smile seriously, thinking that, oh, she's smiling at me. No, she's not smiling at you. She's smiling at every single passenger who walks by her. And she's paid for her. So the money is making her smile, but doesn't mean that she's naturally happy like that. So to give you a quick recap of what we have discussed in the last session of Mind Management Part 1, two themes or topics we had discussed primarily. First is, because our topic is mind management. What does mind management mean? To manage the mind. And as I said last time, to manage the mind, we need to have some control on it. Mind management and mindfulness, to be aware of the state of our mind and to live in the present. So, before we understand how to manage mind, we had to understand what would happen if I don't manage the mind. See, subject matter is only becomes important for us when we know what we will not get if we don't do it. Not only what we will get. If the negative is known very clear to us, that also adds to our inspiration to better do things. So for that, we had discussed a concept of 8 steps of internal dialogue. We have done this discussion last time, so I'm not going to go into details. But the idea was a simple, quick example. I hope you all can relate to it. Just imagine your exam time is going on. Let's say you have your finals. And just writing your third paper, you've completed your third paper, you have 2 more papers to write. And you're coming back home from your school or college or whatnot. And on the way, you see a big billboard. Upcoming new release, Bahubali Part 3. Now for an example, an assumption, Bahubali happens to be your favorite movie. You just saw a billboard. What do you think is going to happen rest of the day? Bahubali 3, Bahubali 3, Bahubali 3. When will I get to watch Bahubali 3? How many of you agree that would be running into your mind? If that had been your favorite movie, you have an exam to write. But dhyayato vishyan pumsa. All your contemplation is on Bahubali 3. And in case if you've got a smartphone, you're tuned to it, watching it as many times you can watch a trailer if the movie is not released. So that we talked about it. You got an idea, as a desire is popped up. I'll make it quick. So dhyayato vishyan pumsa, dhyayato refers to contemplation. The whole idea of this 8 steps of internal dialogue is how our mind gets attracted to a sense object. How our mind gets attracted to a sense object, in this case, to a movie called Bahubali 3, a future release. And that mind forces us to fulfill that desire. Now you have exams going on, and you know that it is not the best thing. But we become at times so helpless. If we don't do it, we think we cannot even study. This is a very basic example. I don't want to give a more serious example. Last time I gave you an example of a returning alcoholic. And I'm pretty sure those who heard last time, they can relate how we become helpless to a situation. And that was the idea about it. So the stages that were in this discussion, how it happens is like this. It all begins with dhyayato, contemplation. Dhyayato leads to sangha, which means attachment. And that attachment leads to kama. Kama refers to obsession. I want to have it. That is willing. And then it leads to krodha, which translates into irritation, where a person is worried, if I don't get that, what will happen? And he's getting irritated. He wants to fulfill the desire. And the 63rd verse, which talks about it. What happens next? What is the next stage to irritation? Next stage of irritation is delusion. You are confused. What is right? What is wrong? Should I study for exam, or should I somehow bunk and go and watch a movie, or maybe watch half a movie or something? And then oblivion, which means smriti, vibraha. Smriti means loss of memory, not loss of memory. Memory loss, smriti, loss of memory. You don't recall the past bad experiences that you had to undergo because of the same activity that you're planning to do. And the next stage is intelligence loss, which means buddhi nashad. Intelligence, which we're going to speak next time about how intelligence interacts with the mind and the body. Intelligence is said to be the master. And that intelligence helps you decide what is right, what is wrong, and helps you make a decision. When Krishna says intelligence is lost, which means now you are going to act on it. Nobody can stop you on that. And finally, the last stage was falls down, relapse, like that. So in essence, we saw that how systematically, if we are not conscious of how our mind is acting upon, we can so easily become victim to the whims of the mind. And then moving forward, we had discussed about how to manage the mind. Now, before we understand how to manage the mind, or before we talk about it, we had given you an understanding about how mind evolves, or how mind's conditioning happens, right? For example, somebody is very angry, somebody is very greedy or envious or having all those negative emotions within him. Is a state of mind? Question comes, how did you develop the state? While on the other side, somebody is very joyful, somebody is always very kind and loving to others. Now, of course, a question should be asked, how did he develop the state of mind? Is a valid question. Does anyone know how can we develop the state of mind, or is it something just happens automatically? Or maybe just like you're born with a certain body type, similarly we are born with a certain mind and mind acts like that. It's not about that. And this is a diagram that I had drawn last time. This is called input. And this is knowledge acquiring senses. So a state of mind, which means negative or the positive conditioning, it all depends on what inputs you give. Has any one of you have seen worldwide, what is that, WWE? World Wrestling. How many of you are aware of it? Have seen any fights and all that? So some of you have seen that. Or maybe some of you are a little shy to raise your hand. By the way, whatever it is. So imagine if you're watching that, and if you can recall those days or moments when you watched it. Naturally, a spirit of violence builds up within us. When you see an act of violence happening on a TV again and again, then you also think, when you see another person walking on a street who you don't like, wish I could give him a choke slam. So whatever you saw on the TV, how Undertaker gives a choke slam, or whoever gives a choke slam, and when you see another person walking opposite to you who you don't like, you're just thinking about that, wish I could give him a choke slam, give him that punch and so forth. Because you just watched WWE. Imagine, on the contrary to it, as I said last time also, imagine you're reading Ramayana. We are reading about the spirit of cooperation between Lord Ram and Lakshman, the sacrifice of Lakshman, the sacrifice of Mother Sita for her husband, and Lord Ram's qualities and so forth. Well, if you're regularly reading the knowledge acquiring senses, if you're feeding your mind like that, of course your mind would be willing to cooperate with your family members far much more, yes or no? Would be willing to sacrifice for the well-being of your family members, of your relatives, or the friends. Agreed upon it? So how or what inputs you're feeding to your mind determines what state you develop. That was a very important subject matter for us to understand. And this is what is said to be the training of the mind. If you want to train your mind, you need to identify what kind of, for example, in today's time, if you look at the media, particularly news, the breaking news, all the breaking news or newses are negative, yes? All are negative. After watching that regularly, do you really become hopeful about life? I remember I was doing a one school program in an international school in another city, and I was speaking something about mind. At the end of the program, one of the faculty came and spoke to me. He said, I want to talk to you in person. I said, yes. He did not ask me anything related to the subject matter. He said, I'm very fearful. I said, why? He said, I'm fearful about the well-being of my family. Because I've had some experience like that in the past. So before he would have taken much of my time, I asked him, where is your family? So he said, I am not married, but I have my mother and father. So I said, why are you so much worried about them? He said, because in the news there is always so much message going about India, Pakistan, India, Pakistan. I cannot sleep in night. I said, why? Because as soon as I go to sleep in night, I start getting dream that the war has broken between India and Pakistan. And Pakistan has dropped nuclear bomb on India. I said, wonderful. If I start getting dreams like this, even I will not get sleep. What is your problem? I said, why on this earth you're thinking like that? A simple reason. Day and night he had absorbed himself too much to watching to the news, to reading on what all comes on the news, where he became so much doubtful that the war can break at any point of time. And his parents are living in Bengal. And I told him, if the nuclear explosion had to happen, that will first happen somewhere in the north, not in the Bengal. And you're living in Maharashtra, you should worry more about yourself than your parents who are in Bengal. It's just the nature of mind he cultivated, with depending on what kind of knowledge, how inputs were related to it, how he was taking information about it. Oh, I forgot. Very interesting quotation made by one of the very intellectual person. He said, the world today faces far greater and widespread threat from weapons of mass distractions than weapons of mass destruction. I hope you're able to get it. Can anyone name what are the weapons of mass distractions? Media, okay, what else? I don't have my smartphone, but smartphone is what a great invention. On a tiny, give me one. On this tiny gadget, you can find out anything of anywhere. And unfortunately, what you find out here on this is hardly ever any positive message. It's always about negativity in the rest of the world, isn't it? As if there is no positivity exists in today's time. And this opens you to this whole entire world about so many things going with so many people's life and so forth. If you're constantly taking that kind of input, you're bound to become fearful. You're bound to become with insecurity and so forth. And that's the reason the threat today is not that much of nuclear weapons and so forth. The threat which is prevalent is a threat because of this massive overflow of information and our strong dependency on this. And that's the reason I said this is a pretty interesting statement. So in this regard, Krishna tells us something very important. If you want to do mind management, you know how to manage the mind. Last time we said if you want to manage the mind, you have to follow mantra meditation, right? And you have to do the ABCD. Take association of saintly people. What does B stands for? No, not only books, wisdom literatures. Otherwise you will say, I said you can read Harry Potter. I'm not talking about that. Harry Potter is not that bad. I'm not saying that, but you will say, not any books, wisdom books. What is C stands for? Mantra meditation. What is D stands for? It refers to diet, a vegetarian diet, also known as prasadam, and also refers to devotional service, some kind of service. In essence, the idea of this whole ABCD formula is to do two things. The foremost, to do mantra meditation. In the previous sessions, if you remember, we had quoted you scientific studies from Harvard and MIT scientists where they found out how meditation helps a person to live a stress-free life. Remember? So the science acknowledges, the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna has spoke 5,000 years ago, mantra meditation is very potent and very much essential for us to purify our mind. Agreed upon it? But imagine, all of you, or maybe just think about it hypothetically, let's say you went out to play football in a rainy season. When you go and play a football in a rainy season, what's going to happen? You'll be all covered with the mud from top to bottom. You come back and now you're standing in a shower and taking bath. That standing in a shower is purifying you now, is cleaning your body. That standing under the shower is just like doing meditation. Fine. Your mind is getting relieved of all the stresses, of all the diseases of the mind. However, at this point of time, if you again step out of the shower and again go get dirty in the mud and again try to come back and take shower, would you ever get clean? Would you? Which means if you're doing mantra meditation, if you're taking to the process of meditation, while you are purifying yourself, your mind, if you again go and perform engage your senses, which gives you wrong inputs, which means if you are feeding wrong inputs, which is helping you build negative conditioning while you're trying to reduce negative conditioning, meditation would never be successful, isn't it? Am I making sense here? Are you getting the point? So meditation, the science acknowledges meditation works. But Krishna doesn't stop there. Krishna says, yes, meditation works. But along with that meditation, there are certain rules and regulations that we need to abide by based on time, place, and circumstances. We need to regulate our senses. And what regulate our senses? We need to be careful not to feed negative inputs henceforward, which means while taking a bath, you're simultaneously pouring more dirt on yourself. And then you're trying to take bath, you will never get clean. And that's the idea of it. And that is what the sum and substance of the last discussion. And that's the reason Krishna says like this in 2nd chapter 58 verse. Yada samharate chayam kurmo angani vasarvashaha indriyani indriyatebhya tasya prajna pratishtata. Translation, please.
One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
So, what does it mean practically to us? I mean, we are all living in a world of relentless temptations, right? Even if you don't want to feed negative input, you cannot close your ears and walk on the street. Agreed upon it, something is still going to pour in, you're still going to watch something, you're still going to speak something because you still have those conditioning and so forth. So it's very difficult, no doubt about it. But you can counteract this, as we have spoken earlier also just now and last time. If you can enhance the quality of your interaction with this ABCD, your quality of interaction, which means association of saintly people, if you can have a quality interaction, take whatever time you're spending in that association, have a quality time. When you're reading wisdom literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, or maybe of another religion like Quran, Bible, and so forth, for that reason, if it comes from different religion, even if you're reading that, read with as much as attention. Don't read with absent-mindedness. So if you pour more positivity on yourself, slowly and gradually, negativity, how to handle negativity, you will get the strength from within. To give you a simple example, I have not quoted those verses here, I have removed it, but simple example. If somebody who doesn't know what's the taste of a butter halwa, and let's say, butter halwa, let's say ghee halwa, and somebody is only used to eating halwa fried in or roasted in ultra refined oil. Which if you have ever eaten a halwa, suji halwa, which is made in refined oil, it gives you a different flavor. But if you eat a halwa made in a ghee, it's a different flavor altogether? Yes? So if you get that experience of a halwa which is cooked in a ghee, naturally you will lose the taste for a halwa which is cooked in refined oil. Are you getting the point? That is what Krishna says in 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Param drashtva nivartate. Develop a higher taste. When you develop a higher taste, whatever temptations that troubles you at this level, or which keeps on building our negative conditioning, maybe a news, maybe some kind of talk that we do, whatever it is, which is building our negative side of our mind, we can work on it by making sure that we have a quality interaction or quality time we spend with these 4 activities. Because when we engage with these 4 things, that's how we get an experience of higher taste. Association, if you have a quality association of people in which you feel uplifted, naturally you would like to associate more, yes? And if some association gives you more agitation, and if you find an association which is uplifting your consciousness, naturally you get more and more drifted towards that association. So it a lot depends on how we take these 4 components together. So this was sum and substance of the last discussion, which was very important, so I had to briefly revise it. And here, today, we'll be taking only one concept, yet a little important. Again, we'll like to bring your attention to the three-level model of the self. Body, mind, and soul. Agreed upon it? See, this three-level model of the self is very important for us to build a faith on what Bhagavad Gita is saying, because Bhagavad Gita's wisdom is all directed towards recognizing the need of the soul. Now, you can only work towards attaining the purpose of the soul when you have that faith. Faith comes when you have cultivated knowledge. And that's the reason I'm going to speak today, something from the perspective of medical science. And we have one doctor here from BJ Medical School. So if I say something which is contrary to the medical science, no, the reason I'm introducing you here, because now we have somebody who is from the field of medicine. If I say something contrary to the medicine, you may interject me, raise your hand, and we can talk about it. I'm having you just as an evidence. We have a doctor here, so if I say something wrong about medicine, so she's going to object to it. And if she's not objecting to it, so better take it for granted. I'm telling you the fact about it. That was the idea. So very interesting thing in the field of medicine is a discussion of how does the body, this gross form, and the mind interacts. This whole problem, which is called as body and mind interaction, this whole problem for the first time was coined by a French doctor or scientist by the name of Descartes, which is more than 300 years old. Around that point of time, he began to think. See, mind, even the science acknowledges it is a function. The mind is nothing but thinking, feeling, and willing. Willing means I want to do it. I would do that. This is thinking, feeling, and willing. There is no gross form to it. It's very subtle. It's a conglomeration of your thoughts, experience, and memories. That's it. How this can interact with your body which is gross. Valid? How the mind can interact with the body. Now the mind wills. Unless the mind wills, the body cannot act. See, you're sitting here because there was certain desire to sit. Yes? If I ask you, please raise your hand. Kindly raise your hand. All of you. Now each one of you have the potential to raise hand here. Because your mind agreed to raise your hand. Right? If one of your mind said, I'm not going to raise hand, whatever he says, let him speak. Then your hand, you would not have raised your hand. Right? Because when I said raise your hand and your mind agreed, you all were able to raise your hand. So which means willing, and the body got into action. And it's an interesting question. How something which is so subtle, like a mind, can dictate a body which is so gross? So we'll try to look at this. Is the problem statement clear? A little interesting? I don't know, it depends on your scientific background, but let's think about it. So before that, I'll again go to certain fundamentals. To whom does the body belongs? A very important question to ask. A doctor. If you go to a doctor for getting operated for anything, a doctor has to get a paper signed from you where you give an approval to a doctor to operate on your body. According to the laws of the nation, for any nation for that reason, if a doctor while operating on your body, while he has, what they call, opened your belly, ripped open your belly, and he is operating on your kidney, liver, whatnot, at that point in time while operating, the doctor finds, there is another problem in just on the corner of that kidney. So you know what the doctor would do? He would seal back the belly, wake up the patient out of the anesthesia and will say, good news, operation successful. Bad news, we found one more problem next to your kidney where we operated. But we need your permission. So we need to, rip apart your belly once more. Need your permission to open your belly and do operation. The patient will worry, why did you do so? When you were already inside, you could have done the needful thing. And the doctor would say, the laws of the nation or the country does not allow. Am I correct? The laws of the country does not allow that. So medically, it is understood. According to the laws of the country says, you are the proprietor of this body that you have. You are the controller, you are the proprietor. And it is our experience and our thinking that I am also the enjoyer of this body. That's our thinking. That could be debatable. So the laws of the nation say you are the controller and proprietor. The science of the medical laws also say that. I just give an example. And each one of us, our experience says so, right? If I have to ask you, who is the controller of the body? I'm not saying I, means you I. Right? 100% agree? Please raise your hand. Or do you think somebody else is the controller of your body? Is there anyone else who thinks someone else is the controller of my body? Anyone here? Yes, please. Who do you think is the controller of your body? Anyone else here? Okay. Yeah, who's the controller of your body, please? Oh, my two kids. Okay. You have to say something? Oh, okay. Okay. I don't want to repeat over here. All right. Okay. All right. That's all right. Come back to the subject matter. Let's not get into relationship issues now. So, it's our experience. If I want to get up, I get up. I decide and I do it, right? If I want to eat, I eat. If I don't want to eat, I don't eat. So that experience teaches us I'm a controller. Please pay attention. It's a very important subject matter. And I'm bringing your attention from the science. So, yes, who controls the body? The idea is I control the body. However, for your kind information, this is just a partial truth. It is not the complete reality. According to the medical science, every single activity of a body is governed and controlled by the nervous system. Agreed? The nervous system, which is nothing but, what is nervous system? But these are the nothing but
one sentence we just cannot describe nervous system.
true.
But there are sympathetic and parasympathetic parts which are more controlling.
But the basic unit is the nerve current.
Nerve is that. That is just like electricity.
Yeah, and that is what making this whole body act, right? That's a basic building block of it. Without going into much details of it, but this is how the whole body. When you decide to raise your hand, the nerve current here have got activated, and that has allowed your body to move your hand, and you have willed, you have decided to. So it looks like your mind indicates something to the body, and it happens. The question is how the mind, which is subtle, is able to communicate to the body. That is the fundamental question we are discussing. What is the science? And nobody in the science have any clue about it, and I don't think so they can ever have a clue about it. We'll come back to the subject matter. So, according to medical science, our nervous system is divided into two. One is called as somatic, and other is called as autonomic. Somatic nervous system comprises of activities like walking, eating, talking, moving your hand and things like that, which according to the medical science, of your 100% of activities which are performed by our body, the somatic actions, or the way you are willfully, thoughtfully doing actions, that only comprises 5% of your total activity. Which means autonomous, where things are happening by itself within your body of which you have no idea. 95% activities within your body are happening without your own idea. How can I claim myself to be a controller of the body? If you had a 51% share, right? This is all the financials talk about it. If you had a 51% share in this control, then still we can say you are the owner. You don't even have 10%. We just have 5%. Which means, just like all of us are sitting, we all are breathing, hopefully, right? We all, of course, we are breathing. That's the reason we are sitting here. How many of you are even conscious how many times you have breathed? Our eyes are blinking. Agreed upon it? Your heart is beating. The kidney is doing whatever it's supposed to do, I believe, filtering. Lungs supposed to do oxygenated. Your bowels are doing that digestion or something. It's still doing. So 95% things are happening. If you look at it, even when you go off to sleep, your heart is still beating. Although you may demand your manager to give you 5 extra minutes for your break, if ever your heart has to demand from you 5-minute break, you will never wake up. 24/7, yes, it is 24/7 functioning. None of us had ever thought about our heart. दिल की हम किसी और कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ही बात करते हैं. राइट? दिल का सब्जेक्ट मैटर किसी और कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आता है, पर जो दिल जो काम कर रहा है उसको हम कभी भी उस चीज का क्रेडिट नहीं देते. 24/7 is functioning. Look at the lungs. Even when you are sleeping, they are oxygenating. So does with the kidneys. Kidneys continue to filter even when you sleep. So, here is my question to all of you. How can we be called as a complete controller of our body when we are not even aware about it? Are we making sense here?
Yes.
I have not quoted any Bhagavad Gita shloka for this right now. This is all from the field of medicine. However, somehow the laws of the government, somehow our superficial experience tells we are the controller. Okay, चलो मनाया तुम्हें कंट्रोलर. तुम्हें तुम्हारे 95% कोटा से चलो तुम्हें जो मांगना है मांगो. You want to control your breathing, so let's say you get your control on your breathing. Do you know if you get a control on your breathing, what would happen to you? Do you even recognize what it means to become a controller of this such a complicated system that we have got with us? But we want to proclaim ourselves as a controller. Look at it. If just out of 95% activities of your body, you just gain, even accidentally, control on your breathing, respiration, do you know what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. This is Ondine is the name of a doctor who recognized this syndrome for the first time. It is called as Ondine's curse syndrome, which refers to a voluntary control of the respiratory system, where a person has gained a control on his respiration that actually is titled as a curse syndrome. You know what happens in that condition? Look at it. This is what happens. Now, the person who has got control on his breathing has to be injected with different oxygen tubes. Because the moment you fall asleep, you're not conscious now, agreed? The moment you fall asleep, you cannot breathe, which means you'll die. So for such a person who have just gained a few fraction of control on his autonomous activity, for him his living becomes hellish. And this is how this person has to live rest of their life. How many of you still want to be a controller? I guess it's fair enough. जैसे चल रहा है, okay, भाई ऐसे रहने दो. We are happy with what's going on. I'm just giving you something about some food for thought. Don't you think about it, how much superficially we are living our life, really having no idea about what's going on with us. You may say, Prabhuji, I have a car and I know everything about the car. What's the use of that knowledge if you don't know anything about yourself? If you don't know about the vehicle in which you have been sitting for so many years and decades, you don't know about anything about this vehicle. You say, Prabhuji, I know everything how to fix my gadi. I know how to fix my laptop and smartphone. That is not going to help you to run this body. Yes or no? So here, these are some few important questions I'm going to raise for you. If we are not conscious, then how can we be exclusive controller of our body? Do we all agree? Because our control is hardly 5%. Second, who determines, now this is a question, who determines the rate of respiration, the rhythm of the heart, and the temperature of the body? What is the standard temperature of the body? 98 point? भाई बड़ा कंफ्यूजन लग रहा है यार यहाँ पे. 98 point?
I don't know exactly, but 37 degrees is correct.
Fahrenheit. That's 37. So it's around 98.4 or 5, whatever it is. Even I don't know. I'm not the controller, I agree. I don't know about it. See, the point is, according to, again, medical science, if your temperature falls even a little below, you're going to experience great sense of fatigueness and your blood pressure going to increase. Other way around, when your blood pressure increases, when it reduces, I believe, is the time, it reduces. Not when the blood pressure reduces, then your body temperature goes down. The moment your body temperature goes down by even 0.1 or 0.2, you will feel very tired. You'll feel like sleeping as much as possible. And we all know what happens even if the temperature goes by 0.1, 0.2 in the positive. the head begins to reel, the body is getting heated up and whatever happens. And it's very difficult to function. How this body temperature is maintained? And I'm pretty sure none of us are consciously working on maintaining that bodily temperature, right? Isn't it? Like some of you might go to a gym, some of you might do yoga, but you're consciously going and maintaining your physical body that way. But none of us are conscious. So who maintains the body temperature? So we're going to look into it. So the fundamental question that we had asked, does our mind control the body? So with an experience, again I'll ask you to do something and let's see what the experience says. Please kindly raise both of your hands high up. You may or may not, it's not necessary. The idea about it, okay, thank you, please put your hands down. Okay. See, when I said please raise both your hands, your mind, again I'm repeating the same point. Your mind agreed to this proposal that I should raise my hand? Yes or no? Who says yes, please raise all of your hands. Your mind agreed. Thinking, feeling and willing. Your mind agreed and your mind will that I will do it. And we all did it. So what does your experience teach us now? What does your experience teach us now? The mind is controlling the body. Yes? Is that the simple conclusion we'll draw? Well, that's not a case. Take a case of a paralyzed person. He has legs. He still have the desire to walk. The will, which means desire, is still there. But he cannot walk now. He cannot walk anymore. You see the physical instrument? The feet are still there. It's not that the legs are chopped off or something. The feet is there, the instrument is there. Just like eyes, this is not what through which we see. This is just an instrument for us to see. If I can get a little technical, you have to be a little attentive. When we say you see, we always say that we see through our eyes, right? But that's not correct. So are you saying that the blind person does not see? Yes or no? Does the blind person see? Yes or no? Can he see? Well, he sees through the sense of touch. How do you say he doesn't see? Through the sense of touch he sees. What does it mean? This is just an instrument for you to perform that activity. But that act of seeing can also happen through different senses. The eyes is just an instrument. I know I'm a little getting technical, you'll have to really think about the subject, but are you getting the point? Even the blind person can see through the sense of touch, which is a different knowledge acquiring senses for him. Agreed upon it? So now instruments are there, the legs are there, but he's been called as paralysis. What is the paralysis? That he cannot walk. But mind wants to walk. So why can't he walk? Which means if he cannot walk, again through the basis of experience and logic, in this case, mind has failed to control the body. If in the previous case we said when you raised your hand, mind was controlling your body, that's the reason you were able to raise your hand. So in this case, mind has failed to control the body. Which means, in either case, the mind does not control the body. It is not that for some case mind controls, in another case mind does not. It does not happen. And as I said, for science to understand the answer for it is just not possible. Because first of all, what is mind? They have a very limited knowledge about it. Second thing, mind is still part of matter. Now the subject matter which controls the mind and the body is of spiritual nature, which cannot be perceived through our gross or subtle senses. And the answer to this we find in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita tells us what connects your mind to the body. Are we on the page? What connects your mind to the body? What allows whatever your mind thinks that my body should do, that allows your body to perform that? What is that? In the case of paralysis, he was not able to do it, which means there is something which is something else out of this body and mind, which gives permission to this relationship. Look at this verse. This is 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and verse number 23. This is what a profound science has been mentioned in our Vedic literatures, Bhagavad Gita. Upadrashtanumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti chapi ukto Dehasmin purusha para. Very, very interesting verse. Krishna speaks, where Bhagavad Gita declares that so far we studied the presence of the soul in the body, right? Which is your identity. Bhagavad Gita says, Bhagavad Gita only tells us there is a soul within the body, which is different than the body and the mind. Now here in 13th chapter, Krishna says, in your body, not only the soul resides, in your body, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Paramatma, also resides in the body of every living entity. And this Paramatma is the link between the willing of the mind and the activities of the body. If Paramatma sanctions whatever you will, then only your body would act. If the Paramatma does not agree, then whatever you may want to will, your body will not act, even if you have your instruments with you. Now, how does Paramatma act? Paramatma is not Paramatma whimsically acts. This subject matter we'll see in details if you are around for Bhagavad Gita discussions. 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about it. But in a nutshell, Paramatma makes all this decision based on your karma. Based on your karmic account, Paramatma decides what to function, what not to function. Please read out the translation.
Yet in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
So what it proves, that within each and every living entity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. It does not matter you're a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, whatever. I hope you're not bound by the religious context. You're not bound by this temporary connotations and trying to see life like that. See beyond it. Which means this, living spark is within us. That is what making us active. And there is a supreme spark is also present within us in its totality, which helps controls its function. That's the reason Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, see, the mind goes out of control. It all begins with, what is the first stage of mind getting attached or attracted to anything? What is the first stage? Dhyayato, contemplation. And when I had elaborated this whole subject matter last time, I had said, Bhagavad Gita repeats many times how to change your contemplation. Isn't that an obvious? If you're contemplating on something which is negative, your, interactions with people are also like that? Yes or no? If you're contemplating on something positive, your interactions with people are also like that? It's a pretty much. So contemplation matters a lot. And here Krishna says, this is the 9th chapter. Oh, I've quoted from the 18th chapter, 65th verse. The same verse comes twice in Bhagavad Gita. The 9th chapter, 34th verse is what I was supposed to quote here. I've quoted this. Is the middle verse of Bhagavad Gita. And it is said to be the most secret knowledge. And the meaning of the verses is more or less same. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vishsasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. The purpose of mantra meditation is to help us increase our contemplation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What is this spiritual sound vibration means. Hare refers to the internal energy of the Lord Krishna, which internal energy refers to Srimati Radharani. Lord is always referred as Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Radha Krishna. The energy is addressed beforehand. This is how we address the Lord. So it's like Radha Krishna. So we are addressing the feminine aspect of the Lord. And then Krishna. Hare Krishna, like that. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, and Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The essence of this mantra, knowingly, unknowingly you chant, it is still going to work. That is the potency. It's not a material sound. But if you chant knowingly, where you are able to increase your contemplation, man mana bhava madbhakto. What is the idea? When we are chanting, the Acharya says we have to offer a prayer when we are chanting. And what is the prayer? My dear Lord, when you love somebody, don't you want to serve that person? Yes or no? Yes. If you love somebody, you want to serve. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the eternal mother and the father of every living entity. Is there any doubt? You know your parents. You may know your grandparents. You may know up to your great-great-great-grandparents. But who was above them? From where did they came? Please don't say. According to Darwin's theory, sir, my great-great-great-grandfathers were the monkeys on the forest of Himalayas. Maybe yours, not mine. This doesn't make sense. It's a great insult for us to say our great-great ancestors were monkey, because one monkey believed like this. And he's telling all others to believe like that. Why we have to believe that fellow who categorically writes in his paper, which is called Theory of Evolution, it is hypothesis. But we have extracted some idea and put it into a biological books and so forth. We talk about it. Where does a living entity came? Who was the Supreme Person? Like that. So if he is present within us, present within everyone, and providing for everything, this whole complicated body, if not, at least you will agree, we had no contribution to devise this body as we have, yes? In case if some of your parents, and if you have a child, you had no contribution to actually make a body of your child in a certain manner, right? You did not went to some shopping mall and selected a kidney of this model, lungs of this model, and different parts of the body, and then you got a body packed and you have a new child, right? You had no control. From where? So simple. Because we are so caught up in superficial anxieties of life and insecurities that we never think about it. Just like you had no idea that 95% of your activities of your body are happening without your knowledge. And still I'm so proud to say I am the controller. Whoever is the controller would laugh at us or no? मतलब अगर 50% भी शेयर होता तो वो कहता चलो तेरे को कोई हक बनता है ये कहने का your control. You're hardly 5% like that. And that's the reason Krishna says, my dear son and daughters, never ever worry that I will not protect you. If you come and take my shelter, I shall protect you and I shall provide you what you like. And it's a very, very profound verse. Ananya chintayantu mam ye jana parupashate tesham nitya bhyuktanam yoga shemam vahamiham. Translation, please.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
So when we are doing this mantra meditation and we have this prayerful mood, my dear Lord, please offer me a shelter. Krishna says, Yoga Shemam Vahamiyam, I will at any cost. And later on he tells Arjuna to declare that Krishna's devotee or the Lord's devotee never perishes, whatever happened. Imagine if you have somebody like that promises you, I'll take care of everything for you. Would you have any stress or anxiety in life? Think about it. For example, the kids, they're sitting so peacefully because all the anxiety is taken by the mother. It's a fact. I mean, the day Abhimanyu was killed at the battlefield of Mahabharata, and when Arjun got to know Abhimanyu was killed, and what's her name? Jayadratha was responsible for it. And when Arjuna got to know this, Arjuna got so angry and he declared, if tomorrow before the sunset, if I don't kill Jayadratha, I will kill myself. Declare kar di, I take a vow. And Lord Shri Krishna began to sweat. Kya bola bhai? ये कोई गिल्ली डंडे का गेम है? कुछ सोच समझ के तो बोला कर. तुम्हारा खानदान में ये वाव लेने का सिस्टम है कि बड़े भाई ने वाव ले लिया कि जो भी बड़े बोलेंगे फॉलो करूंगा. उसकी वजह से गैम्बलिंग मैच खेलना पड़ा था युधिष्ठिर महाराज को. भीम ने वाव ले लिया 100 के 100 पुत्र को मैं मारूंगा. अब तुमने ये वाव ले लिया. ये क्या तुम्हारे कुछ खून में खराबी है क्या? बैठे बैठे कहीं भी वाव लेते हैं. एंड देन अर्जुन टर्न टुवर्ड कृष्णा. ही लुक्ड एट कृष्णा एंड कृष्णा इज इन फुल एंजाइटी. क्या बोला? See, they are great warriors. They have millions of soldiers. It is not that easy. And it is not like he has taken a vow before the sunset. There are certain rules of war. So what the other side had to do, just somehow save Jayadratha before sunset. And if it happens, Arjuna is going to fulfill the vow because that's a Kshatriya rule. So Arjuna said, my dear Lord, what can I do? I took a vow. So I'm going to take rest. You are the Supreme Lord. You worry about how would I do this thing. Arjuna slept peacefully. Krishna did not sleep. Why did Arjuna sleep peacefully? Because he knew, I have a master. I have a person. Just like the child sitting peacefully. He knows that I have a mother. Whatever happens, she'll by my side. That faith, that shelter is what we are lacking. We think I am the controller of my destiny. I am the proprietor. I'll make my future. I'll do this. I'll do that. पहले 5% का 6% कंट्रोल बढ़ाओ बॉडी पर, फिर डेस्टिनी की बात करेंगे. Think about it. And that's the sum and substance of the subject matter on this, where we brought your attention to a subject matter on another perspective of 3-level model. Are you really the controller? And I'll conclude with this small real life example. Once one of our devotees went to a hospital because another devotee was sick, and this person was a monk. It was like a sannyasi. He was a sannyasi. So the head of the hospital was an atheist, and he got to know some sannyasi has come into the hospital. So he came to the sannyasi. So sannyasi ji, or whatever he said, so you think God exists? The saint said, yes, God exists. So do you think God is responsible for saving the lives of the patient in this hospital? That devotee said, yes, God is responsible. So do you think it is not my credit but your God's credit to save the life of the patients? He said, yes. Then the devotee asked, you think that you save the life of your patients? The doctor said, yes, I save the lives of the patient in this hospital. Then the devotee said, does ever any patient die in your hospital? He said, what kind of question is this? Of course, we have casualty. Many patients die. He said, this means if you have the control to save the life of the people, you are a killer. Agreed? Because if the doctor has a control to save the life of the people, then he's also having a control not to let those people die. Which means you are a killer. And when he got that answer, he really got shocked. Bola, sir, मैं थोड़ी देर में आता हूँ. He never came back. Like that, we get cheated out in our life with simple truth. So with that, we thank you for your kind attention for today's session. With your kind permission, if you all are okay, I'll sing this very beautiful bhajan written by our Govindas Kaviraji, which has a very meaningful prayer. We'll sing this out, and then if anyone have any questions, then we can take that. Bhajau re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare. Everyone please. Bhajau re mana Shri Nanda Nandana abhaya charanaravinda दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे तारो हो ई भव सिंधुरे सीता अतबत बरीशना इधि न जामिनी जागिरे विफल से विनु कृपण दुर्जना विफल से विनु कृपण दुर्जना चपल सुखल बाला गिरे धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन इते की अच्छे परती तीरे कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल बजाऊ हरि पद नीति रे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदन पाद सेवना दास्य रे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदन पाद सेवना दास्य रे पूजन सखी जन आत्मा निवेदना पूजन सखी जन आत्मा निवेदना गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे everyone please Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having obtained the rare human birth, cross over the ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly person. Day and night I remain sleepless, suffering heat and cold, wind and rain. For a bit of flickering happiness, I have vainly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, usefulness, sons and family members? The life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is a desire and great longing of Govindas to engage himself in the 9 processes of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari, chanting those glories, constantly remembering him, and offering prayers to him and serving the lotus feet. And the last, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping Him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving Him as a friend and completely offering the Lord's one's very self is a prayer of Sri Govindas Kaviraj. With that, we conclude for our today's session, which ends the mind management and mindfulness topic. Next week, we'll meet again on the topic called as hijack. So far, we have discussed how the mind and the body interacts. But what's the role of intelligence? What is intelligence and what role does it play? How does it controls the functions of the body? And that will be a subject matter for next week's discussion, where we'll focus on the interactions of the intelligence, mind, and the body. Just like we say, he has got a mind. He's got a knowledge. We all say, he's intelligent. So it means intelligence is there. What is the meaning of saying that he's intelligent? Or somebody will say he's foolish. What is the meaning of that? And many more things. And just to give you something, this is where the session is going to begin. Arjuna Vacha. I'm not starting a session. This is what's going to happen next week. Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi vashneya baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha? By what is one impelled to do things against his will? Which means by what one is impelled to commit sinful activities, although he does not want to do it. Which means somebody decides not to smoke. Doctor have told him not to smoke. Family members have requested, please do not smoke. If a single more smoke you have it, you might die, your situation is so worse. Yet a person comes and he again smokes. He knows intellectually, I should not take a cigarette anymore, I will die, doctor have warned me and so forth. Yet helplessly he is driven into it. Is it relevant? And that is what going to be the beginning of discussion next week, talking about what and how it happens and who is responsible for it. And after knowing who is responsible for it, what precautions we can take care or look after so that we don't become a victim of it. Thank you once again. Srila Prabhupada ki.